just not caring. Like, you gotta get to such a confidence and a stature within yourself where you just don't care about what people think or say, or do nothing like that. Just forget people. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, people aren't gonna like what I do. They ain't gonna like how I do it. They ain't gonna like what I look like or what I wear or who I'm hanging with or how I'm deciding to preach or do this movie, whatever the case is. There's always critics. There's always people who ain't gonna like it or hate on it or be discouraging or even try to harm what you're doing or who you are. You just don't care.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Modern Day Unicorns. Today, I have a guest that I have been watching from afar for many years and very much admire the things that he's doing. His name is Anthony Hackett. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you, and then we're going to dig deeper into who he is and what he does. Anthony, please let us know who you are.
Hey, Abby, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be part of your show. Shout out to Modern Day Unicorns. I'm honored to be considered one of those. All right. I need to give me some, I don't know, what unicorn to have, the little horn thing. But I am Anthony Hackett. I am the founder and CEO of SONset Friday Entertainment. Son is spelled S-O-N, like the Son of God. SONset Friday Entertainment. And I am a film producer, director, writer, actor, and of course with the foundation of my faith, which is Christian. And we just produce content aimed to basically help our community, share the word of God, and also just provide good entertainment for people. So that's the gist of what I do. And I got a family, got a wife, 2 little girls. One is 6 and one is 11. I got a dog. She's a girl. I got too many girls, Abby. I got too many girls in this house. I need a man fish or something. But that's me. That's who I am.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I really want to just thank you, even from the beginning, on the things that you put together, especially for those of you who don't know. Anthony and I share the same denomination. We're Seventh-day Adventist Christians, meaning that we go to church on the Sabbath, which is SONset Friday to Sunset Saturday. So we've been in similar circles, but creating content for especially people like us to be able to consume without the worries of what's going to be displayed or what would be exposed to is awesome. I always kind of reference these things like the comfort that you have in going to a restaurant and knowing that you don't have to ask if there's pork in the green beans. That's the type of things that you create. So I want to thank you for that. As we move forward, I just want to ask, what sparked your interest in your career, your passion, the things that you're producing? How did it all begin?
Got you. So I always say ministry is my calling and entertainment is my gift or my talent. And so my calling and ministry, I started off with, obviously I went to college for ministry, for religion. So that's my calling. I know my calling is basically to share God with the world. However, my talent and gift has always been entertainment, starting with acting and then eventually grew to writing and directing and things like that. But it was hard growing up to find a meld to those two. They didn't always mix, ministry and entertainment. Matter of fact, it still is growing. But it's who I was and it's who God created me to be. But there really wasn't a home for me to exist. It was either I'm in ministry, got to be a pastor, got to be a chaplain, got to be a something. But it's entertainment. You got to go out and be part of everything that the world has to offer for entertainment. So it was like, dang, I got 2 paths, neither of which fit me. And I've done both. And, obviously there's nothing wrong with being a pastor or a chaplain. And there's obviously nothing wrong with being in entertainment if you're not part of a ministry, if it's just you're acting somewhere or singing, R&B or whatever the case is. I personally don't believe there's anything wrong with either of those paths as long as both of those paths fit into your faith. But for me specifically, it was literally inside of me a combination of both. And so from that, without going into the long story, was birthed what I do now, which is for the most part, faith-based entertainment. Some might say inspirational entertainment, but just entertainment that is used to inspire, encourage, motivate people, while at the same time sharing God in some way, shape, or form through the content I produce. So, yeah.
And that's great. So let me tell you, it was the hardest thing for me coming up, having similar things to you, first of all, I didn't want to go to college, right? I really wasn't into it. I didn't want to do anything. I was tired already as a child. So the only reason I went is because I was the oldest child, and it was the right thing to do for all these other jokers that behind me, right? So I ended up stumbling upon sports entertainment event management, which was the only thing I was remotely interested in. I stopped growing at 5'1.25", so a lot of hoop dreams kind of just disseminated into, vapor. But when I got into it, and I was very interested in, the sports entertainment event management side, looked into possibly being a sports agent, then, saw more about things about facilities, right? The issue was, being Adventist, the entire secular entertainment industry runs on the Sabbath, Friday night to Saturday night. And I was in a conflict throughout that particular journey in my college years to where I had to make a decision. By the time I graduated, my faith in God had, and especially, with my resolve into how I was going to keep the Sabbath, had strengthened. And so I decided to, leave it behind, which was very difficult for me. I ended up kind of finding a little bit of my way within ministry later on, but I never knew how to marry the two. I didn't necessarily have a direction, so all of my interests kind of just came as I continued to grow. So I can relate to saying, you can still be yourself and be in these different places and spaces. And nowadays we're seeing more people do that and continue to maintain their faith. We have the Von Franklins of the world and yourself as well. So thank you for that. So I'm going to ask, because my next question, because I'm not really sure, this is probably the first conversation I've had with you. I think I've always been familiar with you, but SONset Friday, is that the only thing that you do, or do you have like another job or career?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm still in entertainment outside of SONset Friday. So I'll act, or people may hire me to direct or be part of whatever production that they have. So everything is still based around entertainment. I also get opportunities with speaking engagements. So everything is still centered around ministry and entertainment. SONset Friday is my main job. That's my main thing. That's my focus of what I do. However, I do still work on other projects, and I also will still go out and speak in engagements and things like that. But SONset Friday as a whole is my main thing.
Okay, great. So yeah, you are in a sense full time. Like, some people like, oh yeah, I do this, but I'm an engineer on the side. You'd be like, what?
Yeah, nah, I'm all in. I mean, so the thing is, like, man, if when you have a business or a company or something like that, not everybody is in a position to be able to just go all in.
Right.
Like you just, not everybody can do that. Actually, most people can't just do that. You have to be in like a real specific situation where financially you're good. Maybe you don't have a family you have to worry about. And, it has to be a right situation where you can kind of just go all in. And if you are in that right situation where you can go all in and you don't, I think you made a mistake. Because the only way to grow to a significant place is if you go all in on it. And that's whatever it is you want to do in life. Whatever it is, whatever the freak it is, you got to go all in if you want to eventually get there. And if you're in a position to do that. Now, if you're not in a position to go all in, that's understandable because we got life. But my thing is, you have to work your way to that goal. Whatever that means for you and your situation, you have to work your way to a point where you can kind of go all in, because you're only going to be successful when you go all in. That's it. You can't go halfway or 3/4 way or a quarter way. You got to go all in. So that's what I was in a specific situation in my life, or a certain point where I was able to go all in. And actually, I'll be more specific. So Abby, my wife was like, I was like, this was like, man, like maybe 9 years ago, yo. I told my wife, I was like, babe, I want to just act. Like, that's it. I want to act full time. I just want to go for it. And you know what she said? She said, okay. I said, oh, snap. I wasn't quite expecting that, John. She said, okay. So I was like, oh, what does that mean? She was like, look, listen, let's take a year, right? I'm going to give you 12 months. Go hard. Go all in. And at the end of that year, we'll reevaluate where we are and where you are. And if there's growth, then you keep going for it. But if there's not growth, we may have to consider some other things. But I had such a supportive spouse that I was able to go all in within that 12 months. And within that 12 months, Abby, I grinded, I worked, and there was growth. I was at a whole different place where I was. I was getting gigs. I was making money. I was doing this because I went all in. If I never went all in, I wouldn't have been able to find as much growth, or at least in that shorter period of time. So it takes a very supportive, if you have people around you, they have to be very supportive of what you're doing if you're trying to go all in. So that's where I was, and that's how I was able to kind of get to where I am now.
That's great, because you answered my next question. It was like, what helped you decide to give it all that you have? So shout out to your wife for being super supportive. I am eternally grateful myself to where I'm in a position to where I have the space to go all in and to try as much as I can, given the same, given the same slack to be able to try things out, see if I like it and how I want to move forward. So I'm very grateful for the people in my corner that are giving the support that I need. So yes. I want to ask you, with that, going all in, having support, there's always going to be challenges. What type of challenges have you faced and overcome, or maybe are still, processing today?
Got you. So commercial break. Boop, boop. Let's for those who may just be listening, you are missing out on Abby's smile. She has the most beautiful smile. Oh my gosh, if you watching it, you're enjoying this with me. If you're just listening, you're missing out. Abby got a smile for days. So I just want to compliment you on that. Please keep smiling. Make the world bright again. Challenges, man. All kinds of challenges all over. It depends on what it is. You can have challenges financially, not getting enough money to accomplish something. Your challenges with resources. I'm black, so if you're just listening and you couldn't tell from my voice, I'm black. I'm a brother. All right. And to be honest with you, in the entertainment business, and largely in our country, the United States of America, I would say that African Americans largely are at a disadvantage in many different areas. Specifically in these particular professions, we don't necessarily have the same resources. We don't have access to the same people that have additional resources. We don't have cousins or brothers or moms or dads who are high in industry positions. So because of that, I think just by being an African American in my country, I'm at a disadvantage, and I don't want to make this sound like some, sad violin story. Like it's not like that, but but you do at least have to acknowledge it, and I think people sometimes don't want to acknowledge it. It's the truth. So one advantage is just being who I am, but advantages doesn't mean you can't make it. Advantages doesn't mean you can't find success. It just means that you may have to do things a little differently, or work a little harder or longer, or whatever the case is. And so some of those advantages, aside from just being black in this industry, are the lack of resources that you may have access to. But how do you fight around those things? You don't stop. You figure it out. Like, you figure out, how can I get the resources? It's not immediately there, but again, you can get it. You just have to figure it out. Disadvantages would be just mainly around opportunities, resources. I would say mostly. And then one of the disadvantages are that you kind of have, and maybe you've experienced this, Abby, maybe not, but you'd hope that you could lean on people or entities that you'd hope that they would support what you're doing. For example, if you belong to a particular church or a denomination, or if you have a family member who's around you, and you kind of expect, or at least hope, that they give you a level of support, and they don't. And not only that, but they may even be on the opposite end where they're discouraging you or trying to not really help you in any way or even hurt what you're doing. So those would be some serious issues that I think I would say I faced.
And those are all real. And I think that when people get super excited about a new venture, they think it's going to be all, glitz and glamour and but they don't realize that there's thorns and there's roses. And one of the hardest things to kind of overcome is when your friends and your family kind of don't understand what's going on. And I had a previous conversation with someone, and saying our generation is a generation that has said, no, I'm not going to continue to do the same thing that you all have been doing. I can't go and clock in at a job and just give it all I have for 20, 30 years and expect to have them give me whatever pension may or may not be at the end. But the struggle for our parents or people who are supposed to be supporting us is because they've never seen people like us do what we now have the passion to do. They don't know how to support. So they just give us their raw feelings, which is not necessarily helpful all the time. But because they don't know what to say, they're not either saying nothing or not helping support in any way. So it comes off as discouragement.
True. Agreed.
How did you fight through that? So you had a very supportive spouse, which is amazing. But when it came to the people who were not understanding or not necessarily supporting, what helped you push through to continue to make your dreams reality?
Yeah. So how did I overcome that? So there's two easy answers, right? For me, all right. Number one, my faith. Faith in God is kind of what leads that. But two, just not caring. Like you gotta get to such a confidence and a stature within yourself where you just don't care about what people think or say, or do nothing like that. Just forget people. Like that's the biggest thing for me. Like people aren't gonna like what I do. They ain't gonna like how I do it. They ain't gonna like what I look like or what I wear or who I'm hanging with or how I deciding to preach or do this movie, whatever the case is. There's always critics. There's always people who ain't gonna like it or hate on it or be discouraging or even try to harm what you're doing or who you are. You just don't care. And I think that's the biggest thing. And the biggest thing that helped me not care was, again, my faith in God, because it always boils back down to, am I doing, saying, thinking, being who God has called me to? And if I can within myself answer yes to that, then nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if I don't get the support of this person or this organization or these people, because guess what? What's for me is for me, and God's going to lead me to the right place. All things work together for the good of those who love God. So for me, my faith in God and not caring about anything about other people as far as what they think. Care about the people, just don't care about their opinions on you. That's my thought. That's how I made it through.
That's real. I love that. So can you give us a little bit of insight on what you're working on present day, or like how I'll give you two questions. What you're working on present day, but then also because of the nature of what you do, how the initial phases of COVID and lockdown and everything like that, what did you do to kind of get through that point where you couldn't go anywhere and be with people? So what did you do to occupy your time or to make a new whatever you can with it? And then what are you doing present day?
Got you. Good question. So the COVID thing, I'll do that one first. So COVID put a huge complete halt on all entertainment everywhere. Like you couldn't, actors and that stuff, they weren't filming. The beginning of COVID, like the beginning of everything was shut down. Nobody was filming us, nobody's going nowhere. At the beginning of this, it all just stopped. So for me, I experienced the same thing. Like we were actually filming a documentary I did called Ray of Hope. And we were filming it right at the very, very beginning of the whole COVID thing. Like we literally went to film 1 week, less than a week before the world shut down. Like everything shut down. It was like that time period, and it was like leading up. So we barely got the filming done, and then I was able to go through the editing of that documentary during COVID. So that helped me, I guess, kind of get through some stuff because there was not much more we could do. But obviously, eventually, as time went on, they rolled out vaccines and stuff started opening up and blah, 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 blah. Then now the opportunities began to start coming back. Only now, obviously, things are more, you have to be more, there's more restrictions or more cautions and things that you're now putting into place that you didn't have to before. So leading into your next question, what am I doing now, kind of transitions to the COVID thing, because we filmed our most recent movie this past summer. And obviously this is still during pandemic times. It's just a lot less craziness. But in order to film this movie, we had to go through certain precautions. We had to make sure people had COVID tests prior to filming. If they had vaccines, they had to, send that in. We had to take precautions on food. Obviously, the food is all individually packaged. We didn't have like buffets and stuff like that. We did once, but it was handled by one person behind a counter. And obviously, all crew were wearing masks. So there's just a bunch of different types of precautions you have to take now into my business of filmmaking in order to make a movie, which rightfully so, because you want to make sure your set is safe. But with that being said, that's the transition to what we're doing now. It's a film. We just filmed our latest movie. It's called Hope Lives. Dope film. Abby, you're going to love it. Whoever's watching, you're going to love it. It's a movie about some high school students who are all victims of bullying, and it follows their journey throughout bullying, and also through the help of a particular counselor who also experienced his own tragedy of bullying too. So it's a really powerful message, but at the same time, highly entertaining, inspirational, crazy good movie. And it's called Hope Lives. You can go to hopelivesthemovie.com. There we go. hopelivesthemovie.com to check more about that out. But that's what we're doing now. And Lord willing, that film will be out early first or second quarter of next year. So around springtime of next year.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So with all the great things coming up for you, I want to steal some of that inspiration that you have and share it with our audience. So with that, what are just 3 tips that you would give to anyone? People maybe wanting to get into filmmaking, people just wanting to maybe transition, people looking to go all in. Can you give us 3 tips that you would speak to those individuals?
3 tips say that again, to kind of go all in to...
however you want to frame it. People, so either, you want to speak to filmmakers, people looking to make a transition, people to go all in. I don't want to limit you on how you want to address it, but just 3 tips that somebody can take away and put it into action.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll keep it a little more general because these same tips really could go with filmmaking or anything that you might be interested in doing in life. So I would say for me, I just I'll save that as the bonus. So that's the bonus one. I'll do a 4th. The 4th is a bonus.
No problem.
One tip is to never quit. Never quit. There's a Bible verse that says Galatians 6:9. Do not give up on doing good, because at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Basically saying, don't stop. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing and don't quit. The only way you're guaranteed to never make it is quitting. That's it. You got to keep moving. You got to keep doing it. There's so many people who wanted to be musicians or get into a particular field or wherever the case is. And just life happens, and maybe had married, had a child, or maybe things didn't work out for a few years, and they just eventually just kind of fade off and just quit. And there they ain't make it. Why? Because they quit. So for me, I'm never going to quit. I always told God, there's only 2 things that are going to make me quit. God changes my heart or I die. That's it. So people also have to acknowledge that you're not quitting if God changes your heart. So if you have always wanted to do something and be something specific, and all of a sudden you start feeling a little different about it, you start enjoying something else, that's okay. That's not quitting on something. That's transitioning to what God has for you now. And that's fine too. But it just has to be God doing it. Sorry, my light went out. Dang, dark skin.
It's all good.
It's dark skin.
Don't worry about it.
It
I can
got
still
real
see.
dark real quick.
I can still see.
I ain't got time to put a battery in that mother, so bear with me, y'all. So don't quit. That's number one. I would also say get good. Get good. You know, a lot of times people want to be something, but don't really want to put in the time to get good at it. You you want to be a chef, or you want to be a radio host, or you want to act, or you want to sing, or whatever you want to do. But you're not putting in hours and hours at just learning it and getting good, then you're failing yourself. You're not going to be successful. You may reach a certain level, but you can't get past that level because you don't want to get better. So you have to get good at what you do. I was working with an actor. I'm not sure if you know his name is Mahershala Ali. He's an actor. Excuse me. I worked with him on a TV show called Netflix show called House of Cards, and I was a stand-in. And he's a really, really good actor. He's had a lot of success. But he told me something. He said, he said, Anthony, you know how to be successful in this business? I said, no. He said, never stop working your acting muscle. I was like, what do you mean? He said, you just got to keep acting. Like, just act. Get good. Because the more you act, it doesn't matter if it's for free or if it's a play or if it's a TV show or commercial. Just keep acting, because guess what's happening? As you act, you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger until you get to that point where, guess what? Your opportunity came and you're strong enough for it. You're ready for it because you got good. So for me, that always weighed on me to get good. So don't quit. Get really good, and then I'll make my bonus one the third one. The third one.
Oh, that's cheating. That's cheating. So you got to give us 4 now. Sorry, figure it out. Go ahead.
Like you hold me to a standard, Abby. I like that. All right, cool. So don't quit. Get good. Here's another good one. Do as much, and this is hard for a lot of people. This might be one of the hardest things for a lot of people. Do as much networking and relationship building as you can, because you could be the best actor in the world, right? Or you could be the best at whatever you want to do in the world. But sometimes it's just the people who have the relationship that gets in. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen, if you watch Netflix, right? You may watch Netflix and you'll see some movies on Netflix like, dang, this was some trash. How did they get on? How did this movie get on Netflix? This is some trash. And you realize that they got in because they had a relationship with somebody. It wasn't that their movie was the best movie out there. There's plenty of movies, probably a lot higher quality, bigger actors, but theirs got in. Why? Because they had a relationship with someone, a programmer or somebody there that was able to help them get in. Relationships are huge in any platform. If you're trying to get into a school, build relationships with people. If you're trying to get into work at a restaurant or whatever you're trying to do, start building those relationships, specifically, especially with influencers and people that can help you. Because without those relationships, it's gonna be harder. It's not to say you won't get in, but it'll be harder. You know, we don't have, like I told you before at the beginning of this, as Black people in our country, we don't necessarily have those relationships that our white counterparts may have. But that doesn't mean you can't start building them. That doesn't mean you can't start, easing your way in there and becoming friends and building those. So build relationships. That's key. Because that'll help you tremendously. So what did we say here, Abby? We said, don't quit. We said, get good.
Get good.
And we said, build relationships. So the bonus one, since you held me to it with your smile. Stop
ding,
smiling
ding,
at me,
ding.
Abby. Stop smiling. Cover your mouth. There's too much great smile. The biggest one for me, you guys, is God. And this is, I'm not sure, maybe whether you're watching or not, maybe you do or do not have a relationship with him, but I'm just want to speak specifically for myself. My relationship with God is the number one most important piece of the puzzle, because my relationship with him is what fueled everything that I just talked about. My faith in him helped me to understand that I need to get good. I need to get better. I need to work harder. Help me to understand not to quit. When you have God, God is the You know, God is the one foundational piece that will help you to never quit on anything. You know, when people don't have God, they don't really have anything to fall back on, because every and anything else you try to fall back on can break through. You can try to fall back on your family, but maybe they're not going to be there for you. You can try to fall back on your own strength, but there's going to be times when you're weak. Like, there's nothing else you can fall back on that will last forever. And only God can do that. So for me, it's all about God. Strengthen your relationship with God, spending time with God, learning more about him, and that'll help push you through all of this. Dang, I was long-winded on that. God.
Hey, listen, I told you we was gonna cipher out all of that good information so we can disseminate it to the crowd. So I mean, you mentioned one thing in there, or a number of different things, but with Netflix, I do watch Netflix, and my friend and I, we actually purposefully watch what we consider awesomely bad movies. And it is a source of inspiration for me to be like, hey, these people, they put it together. They had the relationship. It didn't matter what it was, but somebody that was their baby, they put that thing together, and it's on Netflix. I'm watching it, giving them views right now. So it didn't matter what my opinion of the movie is. They are where other people want to be. So that's great. Now, as we wrap up, I want to make sure that you please share all of the places and the spaces that people can find you, support you, watch things that you've already produced, follow up on things that are in motion. Please share that information with us.
Gosh, I'll make it real simple. Just go to our website. It's SONsetFriday.com. That's SON, like the Son of God, SONsetFriday.com, and that'll have information on all of our movies, all of our videos, links to social media, all that stuff. So check us out there, SONsetFriday.com.
There we go, like the merch. So Anthony, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I want to thank you listeners for giving us some of your attention. Now, if you know anybody that is a unicorn, or you are one yourself, I'd love to have a conversation with you as we continue to encourage not only our younger generation, but our future. Something that we can all do to help make this world a better place. So until next time, we'll see you later.